There we go. We are on. And I'm looking at this FTSE. I've entered this trade actually to the upside, so I'll talk about that when I come back. I've entered it twice so far, but yeah, I'll talk about that when I come back. I'll give you the screen and I'll just say goodbye and I'll be with you.
Cheers, mate. I'm just going to have a brief look and see what's on news-wise today, if there's anything worthy of our attention. Certainly there was from the outset, and that, of course, came in the shape of the RBA rate statement, which, as well, forecast, tipped, whatever you want to call it, no change in interest rates here in Australia, 1.5% and steady as she goes. And the RBA statement, which, of course, is released at the very same time, which contains the cash rate. Yeah, bit of cut and paste. Wasn't too much said there today that wasn't already said and wasn't understood by the market. I don't think there's too much change in what Philip Lowe had to say. So I think the market's pretty much as though that didn't happen. And so we look forward, I guess, to Mr. Carney speaking a little bit later. In around about, or what time is it now? 7:40, 7:35. So you're looking at, where's my time gone? Around about an hour and a half, yeah? So that will be an interesting speech, one would think. Who's he talking to? That might be worth looking at. Yes, that's right, about the Brexit withdrawal agreement before the Treasury Select Committee in London. Yeah, that could be interesting. Don't know that I want to be in the pound or the euro at that point, in particular the pound, but we'll see. If I'm free trading, I wouldn't mind. That's probably a good idea, as a matter of fact. Then later on, bugger all, really. We've got a lot of people speaking this week. We already had a lot yesterday. But yeah, that continues throughout the week with a lot of Fed members speaking. There's a lot of stuff going on around the place where all these people are guests and strutting their stuff and probably speaking a whole lot of, well, dare I say it, economic stuff. Let's call it that. So really, I think this is the headline act now. Most definitely, Carney speaking in about an hour and a half's time, and we'll take note of that as we will still be in the show. But that's pretty much it. Clear sailing apart from that particular occurrence at 9:15 a.m. GMT. I'll have a quick squiz at what's going on. The Aussie first up, given we've had that rate statement, and as I said before, not a whole lot of new stuff in that statement, and the markets is pretty much where it was. After the weekend, we had a little bit of a sell-off yesterday, not too much. No suggestion that the gap was going to close. I guess return served thus far today on that move, and the Aussie does look a little bit buoyant. One would think maybe we're going to take these highs out. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. We're getting to that vicinity, are we not? We've broken above the daily pivot, taking on the high, maybe. Maybe we put in a lower high here. Tough call, to be fair. I think the only thing for me that's clear on the Aussie right now is that there is a fairly substantial resistance level above us. And
I am with you, mate. I'll tell you what, we can't actually see your screen, but that's okay because nobody's in it but me.
Okay, full house. Well, I'm wasting my breath, really. I've been going through some incredibly important stuff.
Oh, I'll tell you when. I'll tell you when it will matter.
Yeah, cool. I want to see the Aussie here, mate. There's a short here, if we can.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, let's have a look. See what you got. Yeah, if you show your screen, that'd be good.
Hang on a second.
Is it short in the Aussie? Oh, that doesn't fill me with too much hope.
Not yet. In fact, there's another.
Oh, there's that gap as well, isn't there? It's been a really odd. It was odd in the end yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, there's another 80 pips before In the end, it was, yeah. It shit me to tears, really. Again, it's exactly what we talked about in the show. And I said both the euro and euro yen on the 4-hour chart were sells on this bar here.
Oh, mate, we haven't got we still haven't got your screen.
Really?
No.
What the canal's going on? How's about now?
No. Yes, that's better.
Okay, so as we closed yesterday, there were two potential trades, both euro short, and we were trading this doji bar.
Yeah.
And we were trading it down to here.
Yeah.
We were taking profit here and we were taking profit here. So that trade was good.
Yes.
Then, just like we spoke about in the show, it just will not run.
Yeah.
You get a big move down and then takes it all back. Euro yen, exactly the same trade, trading this bar here, short, profit here, and as soon as you get there, straight back again.
Yeah.
So perfectly technical in many ways, but gee, very, very frustrating. But also underlines the point what we were talking about yesterday very, very well. If you're going to get into these trades, trade to a technical level and take profit. Full stop. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
To make money here. There is money to be made here if you're going to follow those rules. And I think there's another one coming here on the euro on the 4-hour chart. If this hangs on for another 2 hours and 10 minutes, there's a short here as well down to the daily pivot. Leave a bit for the monthly pivot as well, or the weekly pivot as well, maybe, and just get out again. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Now I've got another short on the euro on the 4-hour chart playing a triple cross, mate. I've got a triple cross today.
Oh, right. I like that.
Look at that. Bang, bang, bang. So
Bang,
we've got
bang,
a short
bang.
under there.
Yeah.
Risky because we're trading into this low. But again, same applies. If this breaks short, there's this big gap here.
Looking at that, oh, hold on. Trump advisors struggle to explain China deal.
No deal.
China discussing possibility of lowering US. I don't know what's going on, but I was just looking. Because obviously the price action suggests something's happened. That the move to the downside, specifically in the FTSE, well, not specifically the FTSE, but that I'm more aware of is from the FTSE, was quite surprising. It wasn't like, this is why I've entered this trade twice, to try and get the long on the go, because it came down to a level that should have been, the retracement and then continuation of a trend, and it went through that level. It came down again to a level of support, and it's gone through that level again. So on the shorter term timeframes, this is actually in a bit of a downtrend now, which is it's made this FTSE trade a little bit less attractive. Okay, so and I'm trying to find out what's going on. So there's questions. It seems like there's some confusion about the deal, and that's maybe what the problem is. And I don't know really. You're talking about the short in the Aussie. Let me show you my trade because I wouldn't mind getting your opinion on this.
Yeah, sure.
This is the trade here that I entered. So I entered when it came down to this point here, and I got this bar because that was a potential point of support there. I've also entered here, but with this area of support here. Now I know we haven't seen the gap yet, but this area of support here, when it came back down again, I entered there. Mm. The issue is these sort of like these cycles now look like we're getting down to these maybe starting to kind of hit some lower areas. That the daily chart is now really a tricky one to kind of look for, because I get this potential which would be a high test bar, but I call it a spinning top but the spinning top is still that gap is still kind of through this area of resistance. So that's where, you know, price action is above resistance. So it looks like the trend is intact, but then you get these kind of significant looking bars which suggest that maybe maybe we're going to get trapped here. We have still got this area that I would like to aim for, that I was aiming for, that is getting, you know, ever and ever closer, and I'd like to wait really for that day before I genuinely look for the shorts in the market. So I don't really want to short it, but trying to get up to that point is proving to be a little tricky. The 4 hour is incomplete, but if we get a bar like this, it's going to suggest that we get some a little bit of upside push. But yeah, oh, and also there is, I need to show you this because you are a aficionado at this particular level. There was also, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking at the minute, and see what you think about that. So see what you think about it. There's a daily pivot just sitting here. Now, my current idea is to trade up to the daily pivot and just take the whole thing off, which will give me a little bit of profit from this one, and this one will be around about flat. Of course, I could come out here. I've got stops well under, so I should be okay. This monthly and weekly pivot should manage to cage it in, so there's no reason for it to continue to fall to the downside from these particular points. If it does, it's good night. But yeah, so that's my current plan, is to maybe come out here. I wouldn't mind getting your opinion on whether you think that maybe there's still a chance that we could actually get higher here.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the chart on my chart as well, and
yeah,
I like your idea about the daily pivot, because it goes to exactly what we were speaking about yesterday, and get in, get out, stop mucking about, you know. And the level that you're at the moment, in my opinion, is very strong. It's a very strong horizontal level.
Yeah,
what is around about 71.05, something like that.
71, yeah, but yeah, so let's call it 7100. Yeah, no, actually 70, well, 71, yeah, that's where the 7100 ish is where the DP is.
Yep. Okay. So
yeah,
that's your crucial level, and I mean, you've already described in your own terms. But for mine, I like the fact that you got above that level, and I'm looking at the weekly chart now. And I like the fact.
Let me have a look at yours.
You're rejecting the monthly pivot on the daily chart. Can you see my chart?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, so that's that level I spoke about, and that's crucial. Very, very clear. Very clear level through here.
Yeah.
About that. So you've got above it, and now you're retesting it really in many ways, very strongly, I'd have to say. But when I look at this, I see a couple of things. I see this reversal bar here.
Yeah.
And then I see this big bullish engulfing bar here.
Yeah.
Which is backing that up, backing that same level up.
Yeah.
It really is. So I like that. I think that's a strong signal. I like the fact that we've got above here the gap. I hate gaps. I just think they're absolutely dreadful things.
Yeah.
But the good part about this one is you've come straight back down to the monthly pivot and look to be rejecting that level. So if I'm thinking anything, I am thinking long here.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking short.
Okay.
As you said, if you get below these pivots, then different story. But whilst you're putting in a good fight here, I think that's probably a very reasonable position to have. I like this bar. This bar is going to tell the story probably on the 4 hour chart.
Yes.
If you can engulf this, then you're probably off to the races.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting actually, because the futures have got different bars on the 4 hour.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, so the futures are offering me a hammer, where the and I'll quickly flip my screen to you that this is the futures on the 4 hour with this hammer here.
Right. Okay.
And it's interesting what you've got. Yeah, that's really good. But it's interesting what you've got, because actually, if your bar ended up where it does right now, then it's not particularly, doesn't really tell us anything. And actually, is your monthly pivot right? That's interesting too, actually. Well, I suppose it would be. Yeah, I might see my monthly pivot is slightly underneath. Of course, cash is going to be much more significant than the futures market. But one thing that Royal do is they, which a lot of these brokers do now, is that they have the FTSE 100, but they have it also on a yeah, I see it actually is bounced, doesn't it, on that monthly pivot? I see what you mean. Interesting.
The only thing I don't like about it is this is one of my false break scenarios where we've had break of the trend line, consolidation above it, we've got back underneath it, and now we're retesting it.
Yeah.
That's a bit interesting.
Yes. Yeah, which again on the futures market it hasn't done that, but it's definitely more about the FTSE 100 than the futures. Actually, yeah, we are. I see what you mean. We are slightly above it, aren't we? Yeah. Not particularly attractive, is it? And
Yeah, look, double bottom, high low. There's a lot to like about it, but there's a question mark on it, and the question mark for mine is this. We've got above here, but we haven't been able to sustain it.
I have to say, the FTSE has been really tough to trade recently. Look, I mean, if you look at that that price action around about November the 8th, it's so tight. Yes, you got a kind of it is coming down. The chart is coming down from the 8th until the 20th, but price action is so unbelievably tight. It's made it tricky to kind of get in and putting stops, where you put stops on that particular chart did prove to be a little bit difficult, which is why I've left these nice and wide. Just to allow the price action just to establish itself a little bit.
But when does that happen? In these markets at the moment, we're seeing big high test bars, big low test bars, big low test bars. It does make it very tricky.
Yeah, it hasn't been particularly clean. It's got to be said. I probably should try and opt for something a bit simpler, but we are where we are, mate. So I'm going to stick in there with it and see what happens. I may well come out of that daily pivot. In fact, I probably will come out of the daily pivot, but I might just give it a little bit of a chance, at least to get there.
Yeah, look, again, exactly what we were talking about yesterday. The market, once it hits something, tends to be going off. It's reacting off these somethings, and these somethings are very often the pivots, and very regularly the daily pivot, of course.
Yeah.
So, if you look at what the FTSE's doing as well, it's doing the same thing. Daily pivot, got through it and across it. Daily pivot again. Weekly pivot this time. Weekly pivot this time. Daily pivot this time. So it's doing what you would anticipate that it would do in a tight market. It's hitting support and resistance, and it's bouncing off it. So,
I mean, these fundamentals. I think the fundamentals make it tricky too. That's the problem with the FTSE, is that now we're getting these things out of China. I don't know what that even means, but the market has certainly moved off the fact that there was some sort of trade deal done, and now it's frozen on the back of the fact that maybe there's not a trade deal done.
Well, this is what I said yesterday.
Yeah.
What deal? There is no deal. It's the same as North Korea. It's the same thing all over again. He says everything that that people want to hear, but actually nothing happens. There's nothing set in concrete.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that's why I said yesterday, I don't see why the market's reacted as the market has reacted when really nothing's actually occurred. He's just hit the pause button. That's it. Full stop.
Yeah. That's exactly it, isn't it? It is the pause button. It's actually nothing substantial or significant at all.
No. It's just made a few headlines.
Yeah.
As we know, the headlines are generally way away from where you need to be in terms of what the market's actually doing.
Yeah.
Because they're a long way behind at the end of the day.
So we haven't discussed sterling this morning yet.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm waiting. But it's setting up now again on the 4-hour chart. You got my screen? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
It's setting up again. You know, we've spoken about it often, how we're bouncing off the pivots and we're doing regularly.
And it did it again yesterday.
Did it again, well, off the weekly pivot, yes, the day before off the daily pivot, weekly pivot yesterday, bang. Amazing. Yeah. And here we are again at the daily pivot. Tricky, though, because we've got two of these little buggers sitting here, two of these spinning tops. And look, I don't mind trading that in a good context. And that good context would be here after a rally. I don't see any rally here, really. I'm seeing consolidation. So this is a little trickier than I would like it to be. I can absolutely see that there's a nice bar there to trade, but I don't like the position it's actually sitting in. So I'm going to let that go, even if it does look good, and maybe wait for the weekly pivot again and see if we can find something there. The alternate to that, of course, is we have got a bit of a base here. We've got a double bottom. Have a look at the daily chart. Not that this goes with my bias in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
The daily chart, ready, set, go. There we go. But you can see that we're really failing to get through this level, which is around about the 126, 60 level, something like that. 126.90 level. So we can't get through there. And as I always say, the very best place to trade this short is not where we are right now. So I'd like to see a nice retracement back up here. Monthly pivot would be awesome if we could get to there.
Yeah.
But that's asking a bit, I think.
Yeah, so, well, that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? To maybe try and go short on the monthly pivot. There's there's more problems in Parliament. Theresa May, the deal with the EU, the Attorney General in the UK was advising the government of the deal. You know, they're talking about the contract, what it actually contractually obliges the British British government and the nation to abide to, and the other parties have called for that that report to be published because they believe that they should be a party to what the contract means, and yeah, but the Attorney General has said no. He said that this is confidential information. It's for national interest, that he won't go publishing the information because it was a private conversation with the government. And as soon as they buckle, then the Attorney General could be not able to give frank and honest views to a government of the time, because then it could be used against everybody. So he's come out and said no. But the other parties, the 5 or 6 other parties in Parliament, are demanding and saying that the government and the Attorney General is in contempt of is in contempt of Parliament, and they are demanding to see this information. And we've got a little bit of the information, and the little bit of information that has come out has effectively said that we will be tied so closely to the EU after we leave, we can't actually do any trade deals. So the whole reason, or one of the reasons that was sold to the British people, was that we could do trade deals all over the world, and it's going to be a land of milk and honey. All of a sudden, that's off the table because we'll be tied to the EU customs union indefinitely. Until this backstop, that's the whole thing about this backstop, is agreed to be severed, but that has to be agreed by the EU. So the deal is becoming less and less attractive. And I don't know if I just heard that they were going to delay that vote that I said that was going to be on the 11th of December, but I may have done. So that leaves the pound in even more tricky waters in many respects. So a sell on the pound is the only option that I can see.
Yeah, and we're going to get the price is the only question, isn't it? For me, I really can't. Everything that goes with the way I trade is telling me I can't go short here.
Yeah.
It's just the wrong place to go short.
Yeah.
So how we get a rally out of this to find a level to trade short is beyond me. I don't know how that works. Maybe NFP is super bad, or so I don't know.
What to get? Yeah.
Something a little bit later.
Well, yeah, he's out today, isn't he?
Yeah. In not too distant future. What?
Yeah.
Hour and a half or something.
Hour and a half. So Mark Carney, and I think he's talking about Brexit. So it doesn't sound like he's going to say anything that's going to be particularly good for the pound.
Well, probably not. But we live in hope, I suppose, that he does.
Yeah.
And we get up there and get a price. But yeah, really tough to be going on.
Yeah, the contempt, it says here, Commons will debate if May's government is in contempt of Parliament. As Speaker John Bercow rules, there is a case, an arguable case over decision not to release the full Brexit legal advice. So it looks like that's going to rear its head. Now, the FTSE 100 is just
something else to throw into the
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. FTSE 100 is closing in on that daily pivot, and I need to make a choice because I've actually got a trade now in slight profit. It's whether I believe it's going to go through. I suppose I need to give it a little bit of time, don't I?
This is the opening candle, yeah, this too.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get through this DP. I'll watch the price action. See, we watching it on your screen or mine? Where are we at?
I don't know.
Oh, let me do mine. This is where we at, but here's the daily pivot here. I mean, I've actually got a take profit layer, so there are orders kind of coming, setting in here. So I may well close that down because that looks like it may. You know what? I'm going to close this down, and not because I don't think it may go through, but just because of the other price action that happened. It seems to me that it wouldn't be good practice to stay in this now. I think it's better just to come out, take the profit, and then try and get a different trade on.
Very cool,
and I'll tell you the other reason that I think that's not a bad idea is that this bar is fairly. It could end up being a little bit exhausted as well. I'll probably end up being wrong about this, and it'll probably get to this point here. But I'm okay with that because there was profit there.
What do I always say? Can't go broke banking.
No, and yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Sometimes I look at the market and I just kind of go, I just can't make a choice on that. And as it's offered me a chance to kind of get out at profit, I think it's probably best that I do that, isn't it?
Agreed, 100%. And again, we spoke about it yesterday. Once we're hitting support and resistance levels, we need to take profit. We need to
yeah.
Whether it's everything or whether it's something, you've got to get something in the bank at least.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so right back. So yeah, back to the pound. So the pound does not appear to me that it's going to have an easy time of it. Now let's just find out when that's. Let's find out when.
I absolutely agree with that 100%. But at the same time, from a technical point of view, once again, we are at a support level.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are at a support level. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So I mean, how significant? Let's see how significant that.
It'd be a hell of a call to say I'm going to trade this long. I couldn't do that right now. There's no way I could do that right now. Yeah, look, the level's not insignificant. Not at all.
Monthly.
You go back to October
I see what you mean.
January 2017.
And September 2016 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it is a significant level. You're absolutely right.
So it won't just walk through there.
No.
We may get a nice little, well, what will be a third bounce, if you like, and the monthly pivot's following us down. So, you know, exactly the same analysis as we did yesterday. If we can get to the monthly pivot here, it's all aboard.
It really has been really interesting the way that Brexit was priced in. You know, when you kind of like think about where the market came to during 2016, the lows that it came to during 2016 to find that bottom into the start of 2017 and above, and now where we're going, you know, considering all the issues and the problems with Brexit, it's interesting that the market really did price in all this stuff initially.
Clever thing, isn't it, that market?
It really is. Yeah, it really is. I don't know who kind of worked out the maths on that.
They call it an efficient market, don't they? Sometimes you wonder that, but at the end of the day, when you look back, it's hard to argue.
Yes, it is. Yeah, with things like this. I mean, I suppose there's an argument for you could say that we're more in an area than we are an absolute price here. So that we could actually get a little bit lower, and it still be relevant, because when you look at some of the closing prices of the area that we're in, right, the area that started in August, the closing prices have been just a little bit above and a little bit below. There's nothing definite here.
No.
So we could actually dip a little bit and still be at an area of support.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I actually like the level where we are now, though. I'm quite happy. If we can get a bounce here, we're at the bottom of the range too, the current range. I'm not going to trade it long, but gee whiz, I'll be on full alert if we get to that monthly pivot, as we keep saying. That's where my focus is. When you have a look at this, and I've said, for ages that the pound is really actually been technically very good. Bullish engulfing bar here, double bottom, higher low, bullish engulfing bar, higher low, higher low is right. I got it right. Higher low, reversal bar, higher low, reversal bar, goes to resistance, bounces off it, goes to resistance, bounces off it, goes to resistance, bounces off it, goes to resistance, puts in a double top and disappears. Breaks the trend line, comes back and retests it, gives a reversal bar and then a double top and disappears. So it's really going very, very well in terms of technical structure. There's absolutely no two ways about that. And we've been following this down as well, and on the daily chart in particular, we've been following this. Again, bearish engulfing bar. We traded a few of these in here, got some really nice results. Traded this bar here, got a nice result. Bearish engulfing bar, traded this bar here, got a nice result. In fact, that was a really nice result. We traded this right down to here. And this one here, we traded that again, didn't get as good a result out of it, but absolutely, just spot on. Exactly what you're looking for all the time. But now we've gone into this area here, it's becoming a lot tougher.
Yeah.
The market has tightened up quite substantially. So, bounce off here in a higher low. Maybe there is a little trade to the monthly pivot on a smaller time frame. We'll see. But as soon as we get to here, it becomes a different ball game.
I mean, you wouldn't want to trade this long anyway, would you? This is the thing. We're on. No. Well, maybe you wouldn't mind, but I think it'd be a tough trade for most people to trade this long.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You want big kahunas to trade this long at the moment. So I guess as much as we've spoken about it, and as much as Brexit is a key factor, I'm not seeing anything I don't like here on this chart. It's all doing exactly as you want it to do.
Yeah.
We spoke about these two trades. We traded them both. We traded this one as well. I can't complain about cable. I certainly can't.
Yeah.
It's been very kind to me.
Well, I mean, it was you not that long ago that pointed out the weekly pivot bouncing. That was the most recent.
Yep.
And significant price action, and actually the same thing happened yesterday. And it was the same. It actually You know, I wanted to go short on the monthly pivot, but I think maybe I was being a little bit greedy because that daily pivot did put in a pretty nice bar on that 4-hour time frame, didn't it?
When did that happen? 1, 2, 3.
So we were on air and it was up there when it was around about the weekly pivot. We were on air. It's just when we started, and then it just started to collapse over the course of the next couple of hours, and then it obviously
was the
just
next
shot.
candle, wasn't it?
Mm.
Wow. Yeah. Oh no, I saw that candle, and no, I couldn't have traded that. No way. Too big trading into the daily pivot, trading into this level here. No, I couldn't have traded it.
Yeah.
Not on a 4-hour chart. Maybe on a smaller time frame, there might have been something, but
well, I was
I
expecting
remember seeing that candle.
I was expecting another
really
bounce on that weekly pivot. I was expecting another bounce to take us up to the monthly, and then I was looking to go short, but you know, the weekly pivot proved to be yeah, because look, I mean, you know, ever since, and it was, as I say, it was you that pointed it out, but the whole of November, the weekly pivot has been the trend. And interestingly, you know, at the end of October, the daily pivot was the trend. So I don't know, you know, looking back on these, whether when we see kind of specific pivots becoming more integral, depending on the month.
Well, yeah, I guess the only way to do that is go back and have a check, I suppose. You know, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. You know, when it's going up, it seems to like the daily pivot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I mean, you look at September as well. September, the same thing. Even when it's coming up and when it's coming down, the run in September was amazing.
September. Yeah. Okay.
Even though right at the start, yeah, look at that one. Nice bounces off the daily pivot going up.
Bing, bing, bing.
I mean, you know, I suppose it's one of those things that when I look at a bounce off daily pivot, I don't look at it to be exact or absolute. All I see is this stepping up, is price action stepping up, kind of in line with how the pivot's moving. And I think it did going up there, and it did coming down there, and it did going up again at the start of October, and it did coming down again. But then the price action has been a lot more sweeping since then, and it's been much more around about the weekly pivot. But do you know what? Oh, I don't know how far back you want to kind of go here, but check out August.
Not bad, is it?
Do you know what? Actually, forget August. Keep going. You keep going. I've just been looking back at this June weekly pivot, daily pivot, lovely one there. You know, nice stepping down again. There again in June and May. As I say, you know, forgetting the bounces, just looking at how price action actually goes with that. You know, there seems to be a pretty nice kind of almost a coordinated dance with the price action and the daily pivot.
Well, all pivots really. Good weekly here.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, if you're a trend trader, you'd be
all over it.
Particular notice that, I would imagine. Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with this cross in terms of technicals. That's for sure.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
The euro, mate, where I do have an order in the market, don't I? Yes, I do.
It's interesting, actually. Sorry, mate. You got an order in the market with the euro.
Yeah, I do. It's a long way from entry. It's on the 4-hour chart. I placed it this morning in this morning show. It is basically playing a triple cross. So we've broken down the monthly pivot, the daily pivot, and the weekly pivot, and we've smashed back through them. Now that looks like I should be cancelling that order at this point, and probably I will. But I'd like to see another setup for the short here. If this area gets taken out, that may change. But if we put in a lower high here, for instance, that will be a trade as well. So I'm not ruling that out at this point. And on the smaller time frames, if it doesn't set up on the 4 hour, it may be an option as well. But we do have Carney speaking, so things could change here as well on this cross. So yeah, I'm not too keen to jump in right now, and just in case there is something substantial happens, then I'll leave this one in for now. But there's probably a better entry for that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Am I committed to the short is the question. And again, similar to the pound, we're at a particularly interesting level. We've come off 113.60, which is the level for me in the last few years on the euro. So this does look bounce material. We've got a big bullish bar here, really big bullish bar that came off what level? And about 112.10 or something from memory. Yeah, around that level, 112.10. But look where it went, straight to the monthly pivot and bang, straight back down again.
This is our euro.
Yeah, this is the euro. So once again, we're getting these incredible moves up and down in the one spot off a technical level, this time off the bottom of the range. So I don't know that I'm that committed to being short here. This is a strong level that we're bouncing off. So I'd like some more evidence to suggest that we are going short, and that evidence would come in exactly what I just described, and I keep seeing these things, reversal bar here. Well, let's go from the top. Reversal bar here, came down, reversal bar here, came down, off the weekly pivot again, reversal bar here, bearish engulfing bar, across the monthly pivot, another bearish engulfing bar, another bearish engulfing bar. So if this level gets taken out, then that's the level I was talking about. A little bit of a different story, but whilst ever that's there, and we're under the influence, in my opinion, of this bearish engulfing bar, I'll be looking for a lower high here, and if I get it, that's my signal to go short.
Right.
We're kind of at that level now, aren't we? Where we're taking on this high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this could happen. This could happen reasonably quickly, actually. Where are we? Quarter past. I'll have a look at the 30-minute chart. Oh, I don't like the candle, but I do like the setup.
On the 30. Oh, you're looking on the 30-minute chart.
Yeah, I just want to see if that trend line's right, and it's not. Okay, I might go to the hourly and fix that. Okay, so that makes a big difference.
I'm just doing exactly what you're doing. So you've got that on an hourly.
Now I'm coming back to the 30 to have a look at it.
Does that take you through? Oh, I see. Okay. You wouldn't go to that very top of the...
I could to here.
No. Where the area on the 30th, there's a higher point. There's one point slightly higher. Yeah. That one there, yeah.
Yeah, look, I could, but my rule for trade lines is, and this is very easy to remember, Ash, I'm looking for as many pip perfect points of contact as close to the market as possible.
Oh, okay.
So if I count those, pip perfect 1, 2, I'll count one in there, 3, 4. So I've got 4 pretty much pip perfect points of contact here.
Yeah.
And I can probably make them actually. So if I change this, what do I get? Do I get any more? And that's the question that I use.
I see.
So I can bring this down to here.
Yeah.
And I've still got 1, 2, 3. But I haven't got a 4th really. So I'm only counting that as one test here, right?
Yeah.
So I've got 3. Oh, maybe I have got 4. Okay. But it's not a high.
Yeah.
So I like to use highs. So that's why I would use that one, because I've got more perfect points of contact.
So are we looking for the short here?
Yeah.
We're looking for the short. Okay.
Now, the way we can play this, oh, not anymore, we can't. The candle's too big now.
The one that's taken off.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
But what we could do is put in another trade line. Yeah, that's pretty good. My mouse is about to run out of battery, so I'm struggling here. So what that just gives us a secondary trade line. It's not the better, but it's a little, I call them cheeky trade lines.
Yeah.
And what it's giving me is break, consolidate, re-entry, retest. And that would have been the signal to go, but for the size of the candle, it's too big. Well, actually, by my rules, it's not too big. Actually, it might be okay, mate. Let me see how that ends.
Okay.
What have we got? 10 minutes. When have we got Carney?
Not till 9:15, which is another 55 minutes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this is going to get away on us, though. We'll look at it. Hope not.
So you want the short because I see. Okay.
Well, I only really want the short if I've got a lower high here. If these highs are taken out, then I'm not interested.
A lower high from where the trend line is drawn.
Well, from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to get it. That does it. We'll see. We'll see.
I see. What about an equal high? Can you do an equal high or not?
Yeah, I suppose I can. I can stretch the friendship, but
That's not what you're looking for, ideally.
The bigger this candle gets, the less I like it.
Yeah. And we're looking on a 30?
Yeah. I'm on an hourly at the moment, but just to give me perspective.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting.
Really, now, if I look at this, I've got bullish engulfing bar, higher low, and a reversal bar, bullish engulfing bar, higher low, bullish engulfing bar, reversal bar, higher low, reversal bar. It's now starting to look in a bull mood, this cross. So I needed to hit something substantial now in terms of resistance. That will do. You know, it's still a lower high compared to these two. I'm still under the influence of the bearish engulfing bar. So that hasn't changed. I'm still willing to go.
I'll tell you what,
now the right time frame.
This is what I have here as well, is I have on the hourly, I have a really nice kind of RSI channel. We're in overbought territory here.
Okay.
That overbought territory would suggest that we could see some downside if we can start to break through here. And with one of these, you know, because of the way that you trade, putting the entry just under this point here, that would be the candle, wouldn't it?
Yep.
What could be really interesting is to know what take that ray off. Is to know what's going to happen with RSI. So if there was an entry there, but RSI had, which it will do probably slightly earlier, started to break through that area, then that would give a signal. So you know, a way that I would look for RSI in a trending market would be to come down and then come back up again. So you can trade it at that point and then come back down, you know, from there. But actually, with something like this, you wouldn't want to wait for all this stuff. You wouldn't want to wait for the retracement. A better way to play it would be just to see if it's tipped through that area, live. If it gets through there live, then that would give a signal that momentum has started to crash to the downside. When you put this on a 30-minute chart, I think it's even more interesting, actually, because you actually have what looks like it could be that, which actually does look like its momentum slightly changed, and we could be looking at a potential entry. So, but I would look at it on the hourly to see whether it comes down. But I like it, mate. And I've always wondered whether RSI would play a part in giving any more clarity in what you're doing. And I think what I might start doing is when you're describing trades, is to have a look at them.
Have a look at it, see how it shapes up. Yeah.
Yeah, and see if it gives any as I say any more clarity on that. But that's really interesting. So let me ask you this then. So with the euro, if we were looking at this on a 4 hour, and I'm just going to get this in here, because you're looking for trade lines.
My 4 hour trade line.
Yeah, so let's say you're looking for trade lines. So if I use this on the low here instead. Now, would this be relevant as a line?
Bit sharp.
Too sharp.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. So if you saw that, your idea would be to put maybe this candle's too big, but your idea would be to put a buy here, a buy above this candle, right?
Yes.
So if you're,
but again, it's too big.
It's too big, yeah. I mean, I suppose what I'm trying to figure out is there are there better trades when it is a bounce with a direction, or where because this one you're looking for a bounce away from this higher high, whereas this one you'd be looking for a bounce with a higher low. So there's actually with trend.
I have to trade this one.
Yeah, if you're trading this one, then actually you're trading against the trends to a degree.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't have any hesitation in doing that. If the candle was a good size, and let's say it stopped on the daily pivot, so it's actually retested the monthly pivot and the daily pivot.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a trade, because we've got the size of the candle. Let's say it's 25 pips.
Yeah.
And I've got enough to get reward out of that.
Gotcha.
Nearly 1-to-1. But if I traded this candle,
which
is about 47 pips.
Yeah.
And I've only got 25 available. And then I've got last month's monthly pivot at 1-to-1 and highs here at 1-to-1. There's not a great deal for me here. I don't believe. And I'm not committed to a long. I guess I have to start thinking about a long, and the reason I have to start thinking about a long is really what this is. It's another false break of the bottom of this range. If I go back to the daily chart, you can see what I mean. So the bottom of this range here is this level for mine, 113. It seems to be a nice number as well. And we've just put in a big bullish engulfing bar as a higher low. But we've now gone into a mess. This is complete contradiction in terms, or contradiction in what's actually going on, because you've got this big bullish engulfing bar, but there's no clear high or low here for me, so I can't really trade it long until I get that clear high or low. Some would say that is, but to me it's not. What I need to see in a high or low is a little bit of price action. So This is a clear higher low because we've had a rally
Yeah,
and we've come
yeah,
back.
yeah,
This is not a clear higher low. We've had a tiny little rally,
yeah,
and we've come back very, very quickly. Yeah, this is clear.
yeah,
You know, it's a swing. This
yeah,
is not a swing,
yeah.
and that's what I'll be looking for. Looking for a
Gotcha.
swing here.
Yeah,
So I want price to get maybe down to here, then give me the swing. Then I can look to trade it. But I
yeah,
can't. This is too messy for me to trade long, and that's why I say we're still under the influence of, well, let's go from here. Bearish engulfing bars, reversal bar, bearish engulfing bar, bearish engulfing bar, bearish engulfing bar. I can't overlook that. That we're still under that influence to me.
yeah,
Had this been a big bullish engulfing bar like this one is, then I reckon that would have been a way, way stronger signal than it really is.
yeah,
But it's not. You know, I like to see the reversal at the bottom, and I'm not seeing that. Just not seeing it right now. So I can't get committed to a long here right now. So by definition, I suppose, until this high is taken out, then I've still got to be bearish.
yeah,
And that's the line in the sand for me. And if that is taken out, then absolutely we can change polarity. But until that's taken out, answer's no. This candle's compelling at the moment because it is technically a lower high. So if that were to stay as is, I'd be very tempted to take that short. See how we go with that. It's now a new candle on the 30-minute chart. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. Again, you know, if this was half its size, I'd be looking to trade that. Let's measure it actually. Yeah, it's about 25 pips of risk into here. Exactly where I've got my stops for the short to 10, you know. It's not a great reward on offer. If the candle was half its size, then I have got a good reward. And I'd be willing to take that risk. We're coming off DR1 as well. We've got a false break of a trade line.
yeah.
There's absolutely no reason why I wouldn't take that short. But the candles, no. It's tempting though. It's a tweezer top. It's at resistance.
Yeah.
You can see what I mean.
I do.
It's giving me a false break. But
and that came down. I mean, you know, that shoved down right at the end of that bar as well.
In the last little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a real bull bar, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's a bear bar. I'm not going to trade it, but yeah, gee whiz, what a pain in the ass.
Do you know what? That is going to be really interesting how this one ends up finishing, because this is the basis of order flow. Order flow trading is all to do with you know, finding out where those orders are and when they are. And it was very, very interesting that those orders flooded in at the close of that bar.
Yeah, why do you think?
Well, I mean, it always suggests to me that the big guns sit at the bookend of time. You know, they don't sort of mess around with the middle. They kind of they get either the picture of what they're going to do, or they manage to suck people in, or you know, whichever it is. But towards the kind of like the close of time, they tend, that's when we tend to see much more happening. And I think it's really quite significant when we see a bar end up looking like that towards the end of a time frame, because that would suggest that that the big guns are kind of flooding the market at that particular point. They're just banging their orders. You know, they're hitting enter, and the robots are doing the job, or somebody's doing the job. You know, sell at all these different points in that particular bar. So I would suspect that that's very, very significant, in as much as well that if that's got a lot of orders, you know, or if that's got some motivated orders, if the bar gets above that price, I suspect it will probably take off. If it gets below at this stage, that would suggest it's going lower. If it gets above that area, I suspect it would probably take off fairly significantly. Not so much to the downside. I think to the downside, we might just see a little bit of weakening here. But to the upside, I suspect that's going to take a lot of people's stops out.
Yeah, look, that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. Where are the stops? You know, if you're short here, which you've been entitled to be, your stops are either here, or if you're a pivot player, your stops are probably here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if the big boys are looking to get short into the market, this hasn't taken the stops. It hasn't found the liquidity level.
No, it hasn't.
So we're probably up here, and then bang, if that's the case, if that's the play.
Yeah.
So yeah, to go short here at the moment, I think is a little bit on the risky side.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, and also I don't think that trend line that you've got there is far enough away. I mean, I've even got a different trend. Is that a 30-minute chart you got there? Or is it 4 hour? 4 hour. My 30-minute chart also gives me a trend line, and the trend line is very just a bit tighter, and it'd probably be a 15 if anything, but.
Where are you? Are you in here?
Well, exactly there, yeah. So 30th at 4:30 would be the start of it, and then the next 9:30. No, sorry, the from below to above. I'm just saying that the short doesn't have enough room if you kind of draw a trend line from the 30th of November.
Get on there, you little bugger.
Yeah, that low there.
Where are you? Up here somewhere?
Actually, was that my trend line? My trend line probably wasn't even there. No, my trend line was even after that. My trend's on the 3rd. Yeah, the next one. Yeah, there. Which is, I know it's steep, but on a 15, on these shorter term timeframes, that does suggest that price action, to the on the short term timeframe will probably come to that point, but then bounce again.
And that's what I was saying before.
Yeah.
The reward to risk here is very poor because of that big candle. If it were half its size, I wouldn't hesitate, but it's not.
No,
and that's the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all of those. If you follow those little rules, the rules are there for a reason, and the reason is I'm not convinced that this can go, 1.5 to 2 times the size of this bar.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, then why am I taking the trade?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree. There's no point, because all the analysis can come into anything, can get you anywhere you like. But if you're not managing your money right, you're done.
Yeah. You're just chasing. Look, I've got no problem with taking what I call odds on. Don't have any problem with that at all. But there has to be, in my opinion, some form of reward outside of that odds on as well. There has to be a secondary target. And, the primary target is here, exactly where I've got my stop, right?
Yeah.
The secondary target is the daily pivot. And then from then on, you just want to be in the market short. So you just trail from there. But I totally get if you want to trade from here to here, but at least give yourself something to put in the bank. That would be like a 3-to-1 on trade, and that's really getting there.
Yeah,
that's stretching the friendship a bit. I don't mind going 1 to 2, but 1 to 3 is pretty rough.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Well, the FTSE 100 has proven so far to be absolutely the right choice. I'll quickly show you what's been happening over the last.
Remember yesterday we were talking about this thing taking off, and we said we'd get a better price. Well, that's exactly what you've done. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Yeah. So it exploded to the upside and coming back down. Interestingly, I did get a better price, but it wasn't the price because it continued to move to the downside from that point. but I think I've been a little bit fortunate, and you know, to be fair, I probably deserve a little bit of good fortune, because I've been I was a bit misfortunate or unfortunate last week with how tight things were, but I've been a little bit fortunate within today, because you know, we did get that extra dip, but price gave me the chance to get out at the profit, as we were discussing, and it's proved to be at this particular stage the right choice,
Yeah,
because
looks like a great call at this point. Yeah.
yeah, it does. And as I say, I you know, I won't take too much in the way of comfort of you know, good trading decisions necessarily, because I think I could have cut my losses a lot earlier, or I would have cut my losses a lot earlier if I'd probably seen this bar. I probably would have thought maybe it's done. Actually, maybe around the monthly pivot I wouldn't have done, but getting in here didn't turn out to be the best option. But I think sticking with it, leaving the trade on the market, was the right thing to do, and managing to get out here is, as I say, I think it's been more luck than judgment on this particular occasion. But I'm okay with that. I prefer to be lucky than good in a lot of ways. So
yeah, you got to have a bit every now and then.
yeah, well, yeah. This is the thing. This is the thing. But what's interesting is that now the market is just kind of given mixed signals now in this area. You know, the problem for me with the FTSE is that we are in this downtrend, and looking for that upside is just, you know, it's proving to be harder. It's getting harder and harder, you know, to justify kind of going too much higher, because if this does manage to pop forward again, we're starting to get really close to this particular level here. But I was really keen on the FTSE at least attempting to get back to these points here, but that looks like it may well have been taken away now. Looks like we may not get that point. And if I put these highs in here, it's starting to lead us to that particular trend line. But the other sort of like aspect is the FTSE does tend to rally in December. You know, 66% of the time we have this thing called a Santa rally, which is, you know, for whatever reason. Yeah, it moves higher, but it just doesn't look like it's picking up any kind of momentum so far, you know, this year.
It's tried and tried and tried, but failed and failed and failed, hasn't it?
Exactly, and I don't, you know, when historical data like that comes in, when historical events come in, like the Santa Rally, it's all well and good, but you know, what about the 44% of the time it didn't work, and why didn't it work? And you know, is it a market that we kind of have now, where there's a lot of doubt in the world, and we know that there is an end of a cycle. Whether it's come or whether it's coming is the slight lack of certainty that we have. But I'm just wondering whether I'm better off just not trading, just staying out of the way until this actually does show me that I should be going short, rather than looking for this long. Because the long, just as you were saying about the risk to reward, the long is starting to becoming just a little bit too close to actually get a decent risk to reward. I mean, yes, we are looking at a daily chart there, but if we look at that daily chart and say, right, it's 100 pips to the downside, the upside is, well, maybe at best 150. I know that is slightly better than 1-to-1, but it's a counter trend trade over a long period of time when stuff can happen. Yeah, I'm now looking at thinking I might just wait for my short opportunity. That is the real trade that I'm waiting for.
What if you put your support trade or trend line rather in on that chart at the low?
Down here?
Yep.
Yeah.
What if you get down to there and you get another, well, I don't know, you don't trade reverse, or do you? Do you trade reversal bars?
Yep.
Yep. So what if you get to there and you get a nice reversal bar?
To the upside?
Yeah.
I would absolutely trade it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the difference for me here is that, and this is the thing. Same with what's going on here. You know, are we at a potential area? And this is a very tricky area to ascertain. Are we at resistance here? Yes, we are to a degree, but we're also at a potential area of support. You know, whether it's that line or whether it's that line, it just looks like we're through something. But we are also at a horizontal area of resistance. But this point here, has kind of proved to be a horizontal area of resistance a few times, and it looked like we were through yesterday, and we were through yesterday actually, but now prices dip back below. So this makes this a little bit tricky, but the reason that I would happily trade it down here, even in a downtrend, is that relatively speaking, this is cheap. It's proved to be cheap here, 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 and here. So I'm okay with trading down here, but to try and trade long here, I would like to see some follow through, and I'm just not getting, the initial one, yesterday's bar, when that kind of popped forward. Look on a shorter term time frame, pop forward. I'm absolutely fine when it comes back to try and take the long again and try and take the long one more time here. But as this is moving on and on and on, the long is just not. It's just not having any follow through. So my confidence with the long is diminishing. But my problem is I haven't really got a nice clean short either.
And that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, you're going sideways.
Exactly.
And
yeah, exactly.
It's always tricky, but not impossible. Certainly not from a currency point of view. I'm not sure about the FTSE, but if I'm looking at that chart, what I'm looking for right now is a lower high to trade short to the trend line, and then I'm looking for a higher low to trade long to the other trend line, or to the top of the range, if you like. So for me, it's not that tricky, but I totally see where you're at.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I'm not the only person that is going to be looking at this FTSE 100 and just try. We all want to get in short, really, because but we all believe that it's going down here.
Yep.
And as I say, I'm not the only person. I'm wondering whether and this is the thing, and I think this is maybe we need to get a quote about this. The interesting thing about charts is that if you have a lack of clarity, the best thing to do is come out a time frame and see if that gives you clarity. And if you haven't got one there, come out another time frame. And if you get to the monthly and you haven't got clarity, then you avoid it. You just avoid that chart. Because
another cross,
look at another cross. But because when I come out to this particular chart here, what I now see is that if I get price action in a similar kind of area by the end of the week, then I should be looking for the shorts. Whether I look for the shorts of the higher the bar or the lower the bar is, the shorter term timeframes will tell me. But that is suggesting that actually this is the next area that is going to give way. So we're not going through this area anymore. That's what that's starting to suggest. So yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with the FTSE right now. But what it was telling me is don't trade till next week.
It's not compulsory, is it?
No, as you always say, mate. Yeah, it's not compulsory. So why do it?
Yeah, look, I might go through a couple of things I left you guys with yesterday.
Yep.
And explain how that all panned out. We are getting close to the end anyway, so I might as well do a bit of a summary, eh?
You can, mate. I mean, I have to say, it's only you and I in.
Oh, really? Yeah. Then I shan't bother.
No, I mean we can cut loose when we're ready. Really, we're in later anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, well, let's go.
Yeah.
What's
all right.
The point? We'll have a break, eh?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right, buddy. What time we back in later? 10 in about an hour and a half, is it?
No, in 43 minutes.
Oh, really? 9:30, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then Steph, definitely have a break then.
Yeah. Okay, mate. I'll see you in the chat.
See you in 43.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, buddy. See you later. Bye.